Did you know that we spend an average of 3 hours per day thinking about things that will never happen? Anxiety and worry have already become silent epidemics of our time. Millions of people around the world lose sleep, peace, and even precious opportunities because of thoughts that spin endlessly in their minds. But what if I told you there's a proven way to break this vicious cycle? Imagine waking up every morning with a calm mind, knowing exactly how to deal with life's uncertainties. Sounds impossible? Jesus Christ, over 2,000 years ago, had already discovered the definitive formula for overcoming worry. It's not about breathing techniques or mindfulness exercises, though those can help. It's about a radical shift in perspective that can completely transform the way you view challenges. The truth is shocking. 95% of the things we worry about never actually happen. And even when they do happen, they're rarely as terrible as we imagined. So why do we continue wasting our mental and emotional energy on ghosts that exist only in our heads? The answer lies in understanding a fundamental truth that will change your life forever. The real nature of worry. We all face moments of unrest. And the truth is that worry is basically a matter of control. A clear definition of worry, in simple terms, is the desperate attempt to control situations that are completely beyond our reach. We fight against these situations and anguish deeply over them. However, worry never solves any problem. All it manages to do is leave us profoundly unhappy and emotionally exhausted. Believe this is exactly why Jesus questions, "Why do you worry so much?" We mistakenly imagine that if we can reflect intensely on something, if we can become completely obsessed with a particular situation, if we can anguish deeply over some issue, somehow we'll take complete control of that circumstance. However, the naked truth is that we cannot control absolutely anything through worry. We cannot add a single hour to our day, as Jesus said, through anxiety. Right from the beginning, Jesus reveals something extremely curious about worry. It's within a context where he advises not to be anxious, but declares that when you worry, in reality, you're worrying about the wrong things. You're constantly anguishing over the wrong things in your existence, focusing on the right priority. So let me begin reading Matthew chapter 6 verse 25 while Jesus teaches. He declares, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about everyday life. If you have adequate food, drink, or clothing to wear, isn't life much more important than food, and the body much more important than clothing? And worry about the right things and make them truly matter," is essentially what he's teaching. Therefore, don't worry about the external and temporary, but about the eternal and lasting. Jesus is teaching, don't worry about what you'll drink, what you'll wear, or similar matters. And actually, what he's communicating is that if it's not for eternity, don't worry about it. It's not worth the battle, and you're wasting energy worrying about it. He declares, don't worry about what you eat, drink, or wear. It's not exclusively about these three specific things. He's addressing absolutely everything that relates to daily, earthly life. Everything we worry about that relates to daily life. And these matters are only for the present moment. He teaches that if you're really going to worry, worry about eternity, and his message is clear. If you choose to live your earthly life with an eternal, heavenly perspective, don't worry. The heavenly perspective has solutioned worry. And I tell you now with complete certainty, if you are rich up there, you won't need to worry down here. The definitive antidote to worry is a heavenly and eternal perspective. We worry about the wrong thing. So if you really need to worry, worry about the bigger and more important issue, not the smaller and insignificant one. So if you absolutely must worry, worry about something grand and significant, not something secondary and passing dot. So he transforms our perspective on life's priorities. It's not worth worrying about these temporal matters. Jesus questions, why? Why do you worry so much? Then he continues in verse 26. He declares, look carefully at the birds. They don't plant, harvest, or store food in barns, for the heavenly Father feeds them daily. And aren't you infinitely more valuable than they? And Jesus offers a powerful illustration from nature. He teaches, listen, you are much more valuable than birds. And so he continues in verse 28, he declares, and why do you worry about your clothes and appearance? Look carefully at the plants of the field and how they grow naturally. They don't work or make their clothing. Yet Solomon, in all his glory and wealth, was not dressed as magnificently as they are. And if God cares so wonderfully for the wildflowers that are here blooming today and tomorrow are thrown into the fire, surely he will care for you with much more love. The power of faith over worry. Why do you have so little faith? Jesus continues questioning. Jesus asks, can all your worries and anxieties add even a moment to your day? Again, Jesus is teaching, why do you worry so much and waste so much energy? This cannot make you physically taller. It doesn't make you shorter. Worrying doesn't make us thinner, though I sincerely wish it did, but it doesn't work that way. It can't make you smarter or wiser. It doesn't make you live longer. Can it add a single moment to your existence? Jesus questions, all your worries and anxieties gathered in a single moment, just one moment, can they add something significant to your life? And he answers categorically, no, it cannot do all that. In reality, worry produces exactly the opposite of what we desire. All that worry manages to do is really mess up and destroy today. It simply destroys and suffocates the present. It completely suffocates the life you should be experiencing today. And no matter how intensely you desire it, you cannot change absolutely anything from the past. No matter how much you anguish over past events, you cannot control the future. No matter how much you worry about future situations, so if you cannot change the past, says Jesus, if you cannot control the future, why waste energy worrying? The path to liberation from worry. So how do we definitively stop worrying? Well, Jesus actually reveals to us that the good news is that the antidote to stop worrying is not simply telling yourself repeatedly that you shouldn't worry. You've tried this approach before. You constantly tell yourself, I shouldn't worry. I shouldn't be anxious. I need to stop immediately. I should stop worrying right now. I should stop, but should never works effectively. It only makes you even more unhappy and frustrated. And you know perfectly well that it takes much more than willpower to definitively stop worrying, because you've tried that approach several times. And if willpower were all you really needed, you'd already be completely fine. And you tried sincerely, thinking, I shouldn't worry about this. And yet, you continue worrying persistently. So let's discover what Jesus really has to teach about worry. Because he continues in this passage and reveals to us, and in summary, what Jesus is really going to teach us is that to completely stop worrying, we need to truly know God. Knowing God to overcome anxiety, the more deeply you know God, the less prone you'll be to worry unnecessarily. This is absolutely fundamental and transformative. Look at what Jesus really teaches in verses 31 and 32. He declares, don't worry about these temporal matters, saying, what shall I eat, or what shall I drink, or what shall I wear? These worries completely dominate the thoughts of unbelievers and those who don't know God. But your heavenly Father already knows perfectly all your needs even before you ask. The true nature of God, that phrase dominates the thoughts of those who don't truly know God. Jesus revealed that when you constantly worry, it's almost as if you don't really know who God is. Worry is this lack of understanding about the true divine nature. And observe carefully, God is not an angry and impatient judge. He's not sitting in heaven waiting for you to make a mistake so he can give you severe punishment. He is a loving and compassionate Father. He deeply cares about all the intimate details of your daily life, knows absolutely everything about you, knows exactly what you need at every moment, and loves helping His children. And see, God may be caring for you day by day in ways you can't even imagine. You don't even notice His presence. You don't even know about His constant action. You mistakenly think, oh, this is pure luck. This is just coincidence. This happened because I'm very hardworking and dedicated. No. Maybe it's God, your Heavenly Father, actively caring for you in ways you can't even see. Divine providence operates in mysterious and often imperceptible ways, but always present in the lives of those who trust in Him. Putting God first. If you really want to definitively stop worrying, put God first in all areas of your life. You need to prioritize Him above anything else. Look at what Jesus really teaches in verse 33. Jesus declares, "Seek God's kingdom above all things, live in righteousness and justice, and He will give you absolutely everything you need." Look, whenever you remove God from the center of your life and put something else in His place, no matter how good or noble that thing may be, you will inevitably end up worrying. You're unconsciously preparing yourself for anxiety and anguish. Worry is always a clear indication that you have confused values and disordered priorities. It's always a sign that maybe God has moved out of first, second, or third place in your life. Maybe He's occupying 10th or 12th place on your priority list, and you've placed something or someone above God as being more important than the Creator Himself. So I would honestly ask you, what is the most important thing in your life right now? But seek His kingdom as a priority. As Matthew emphasizes, seek first the divine kingdom. Prioritize the eternal over the temporal. Prioritize the spiritual over the material. Divine provision in difficulty. And Jeremiah 17, verses 7 and 8, teaches that when you act this way, God provides abundantly even during periods of drought and difficulty. Trust in God becomes like a tree planted by the waters that spreads out its roots by the river and does not fear when intense heat comes. This is the security we find when we place our faith in the right place. One more important thing that Jesus teaches, He declares, to completely stop worrying. Learn to consciously live one day at a time. Learn to fully live one day at a time, making the most of each present moment. Look at what He teaches in verse 34. He declares, don't worry about tomorrow and its uncertainties. Tomorrow will bring its own specific worries and challenges. Today's problems are sufficient for today. Jesus wisely said, look, don't open your umbrella until it's actually raining. As Rick Warren eloquently expresses, there are 2 days you should never worry about. One is yesterday, which is already past, and the other is tomorrow, which hasn't come yet. If you constantly worry about tomorrow, you'll completely miss what God is doing in your life today. Living the present with fullness. If you're constantly worried about tomorrow and its uncertainties, you won't be able to truly enjoy today and its opportunities. You'll miss the precious blessings that God prepared specifically for this day. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with carefully planning for tomorrow. You should be planning and preparing for the future, but you can't live tomorrow in advance. You can only fully live today, this present moment that God has granted you. Anxiety about the future steals the joy of the present and prevents us from experiencing the peace that God desires to give us each day. When we constantly live in tomorrow, we miss the small blessings and miracles that God performs today in our lives. So I ask you sincerely, what are you worrying about today? What is causing you anguish at this very moment? And whatever that issue is that afflicts you, I wholeheartedly encourage you to completely surrender it to God, your loving Heavenly Father. Surrender it totally to Him today, right now. Your journey of liberation begins now, and don't leave here carrying the weight of worry in your heart or allowing anxious thoughts to dominate your mind. Don't allow your stomach to continue contracting because of anguish related to past events that are already gone or uncertainties of tomorrow that haven't arrived yet. All these issues that afflict you are completely beyond your limited human control. but they are in no way beyond God's sovereign and perfect control. From today forward, simply surrender all these heavy and suffocating burdens directly into the loving hands of the one who can actually do something about them. God not only knows your situation in detail, but already has a perfect plan for every aspect of your life. Genuine liberation from worry is not a process that happens magically overnight, but rather a daily and constant exercise of true faith and unshakable trust. It's a conscious and intentional choice we need to make at every moment, choosing to firmly believe that God is in absolute control of all things, even when circumstances around us seem completely chaotic and out of control. Peace that surpasses all understanding. It's fundamental to recognize and internalize the truth that our genuine inner peace doesn't depend one bit on the external circumstances we face, but exclusively on the quality and depth of our intimate relationship with the one who sovereignly governs all things in the universe. When we understand this deeply, we experience a radical transformation in how we face life's challenges. Worry is, in its essence, an invitation to know God in a more intimate and personal way. Each moment of anxiety can become a precious opportunity for spiritual growth, where we learn to trust more fully in His infinite love and perfect wisdom. Did this message touch your heart? Leave a comment below sharing which area of your life you need to surrender more to God today. Your experience could inspire and encourage others who are going through the same struggle. If this content was helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive more messages that can transform your spiritual life. And that special person you know who also struggles with worry? Share this video with them right now. Sometimes, a word at the right time can completely change someone's perspective. Be the instrument that God will use to bring peace to someone else's life today.